I want to tell you a quick little story about my recent trip to Disneyland. If you couldn't tell, that's where I spent the last few days by my shirt here. And specifically, something that I learned from one of their VIP tour guides about children and how to help children overcome fears. Now, while I was talking with the tour guide at Disneyland, they were talking about how they get children to overcome their fears of things like the ride at the Matterhorn. And specifically, I was actually talking and trying to figure out if I wanted to take my 2.5-year-old son, who was tall enough to ride on the Matterhorn. If you've never ridden that, it's their bobsled ride on a mountain. It's a little roller coaster at Disneyland. And I was wanting to see if my son wanted to go, and I thought it might be a little bit too fast for a ride and a little bit too scary. So I thought to myself, I'll just maybe take him on it once, and then, he'll probably be too scared after that and not want to go again. Thinking, I wouldn't want to flood him with fear and make him apprehensive about it all. But she told me something that I thought was very interesting. She said, what you want to do, and what we've noticed with children, is that we'll go on the ride, and yes, it might scare them, but if you don't immediately send them back on the ride, what will happen is they will imagine the little tiny little monster, the little snow goblin or whatever there is in the Matterhorn ride that you see twice, and he's just a little guy, he kind of growls at you a little bit. If you don't let your child go right back on the ride again, what'll happen is they will over-embellish their fears and turn a little fear that barely was even really that scary at all the first time they saw it into 2 and 3 and 4 times as fearful as they ever thought it was. So the longer, these guys noticed that the longer you wait from allowing your children to ride something that was semi-scary before riding it again, the more fear and tears and fit throwing that happens the second time that you come back to do the ride. But if you go back and do the ride right away, right again, those fears don't end up over-embellishing, and the child goes through the ride again and goes, oh, that wasn't actually as scary as I thought it was. So their experience isn't then the scary thing that they actually thought it was. It was actually less scary, and they have a little sense of pride that comes into their little personhood, whatever, that says to them, I am a brave person, I can do this. And then they're more able to be brave and conquer their fears with other rides at Disneyland. And I wanted to share this story with you because I think it could be a good little tool for you to use with anything your child is scary about. So if you're noticing they're really scared about it, try getting to do it right again to make those fears diminish severely. And to wrap this video up, I wanted to ask you a simple question. I have a lot of information on this topic about overcoming fears, and I'm thinking about putting together either a free report, maybe a class, and maybe turning it into a product of some sort about helping children become the type of people who are very easily capable of overcoming their fears. Things that I've learned from X-Game athletes who can jump really high in the sky and over snow mountains and cliffs and all that kind of stuff without fears. And something that happens in their childhood makes them not develop huge fears where the rest of us develop fears. And the psychological tricks and factors that play into that so that you can apply them to your child's life to help them be a type of person that can see things that scare them and overcome them so they don't get in the way of what they want in life. If you would like that, leave a comment below about maybe your biggest concern that you have with your child's fear, the thing you'd like most help in overcoming with your child, maybe the type of fear, that kind of stuff. And if there's enough interest, I will put together a class where I will teach some of these tactics for helping your child overcome fear. And at a later date, if I end up putting that together and this video is really old, I'll put an updated link below this video with a link to whatever I end up creating if I end up creating it. So please leave a comment for me below or check out any of the resource links below this video, and I'll look forward to sharing more fear overcoming tips with you in the very near future.